Welcome back everybody. Just a quick intro video on getting lost in the trails and how you should react to getting lost on the trails. You might have noticed that not in the usual sunny WA. I am in the lovely county of Donegal in Ireland, along this lovely coastal walk, and by the power of YouTube I should appear back in WA. Enjoy. So, getting lost on the trails. What can we say about getting lost on the trails? Heart rate, sorry. Getting lost on the trails is something that, if it hasn't happened to you in an ultra running race yet, you're one very lucky person. Or maybe absolutely, I take that back, luck's got nothing to do with it. You're obviously a very vigilant person, does their homework on the course, gets out, does their econs. As for me, I've done what? 2 100 milers, got lost in both of them. One 200 miler, got lost within the first 100 meters of that, and then numerous times throughout the race. So, am I just weird and bad with directions? Weird, guilty. Directions, usually fairly good, but what happens is, which is quite different on directions if you're out driving and directions if you're out on the trails, is purely that in the trails, day like today, it can be extremely hot. You can be slightly fatigued. You can be very fatigued in longer races, and all that can lead to you getting lost. So is this video just about, oh, guess what, you're going to get lost? Do your homework? No. This video is more so about what do you do whenever you do get lost, and how it can affect your race negatively. So let's say it's a given that chances are 90% of people will get lost at some stage. Why is it only kind of 20-30% take a very negative reaction to getting lost and end up blowing up the race? My thoughts on this, and this is my opinion guys, from what I've seen and how I felt in times that I have got lost and the mistakes that I've made, the number one thing that can go wrong once we get lost on the trail out there is that we panic and we start freaking out and go, oh shit, I'm lost in time, I'm in the middle of nowhere, I don't really know where I am, what do I do? Well, first thing you should do is try and remain as calm as possible. If you haven't seen a marker, a trail marker in quite a while, you should retrace your steps and find where you went wrong and come back from there. Go back to the last trail marker, relook. Chances are you've just missed one of the markers or took the wrong trailhead. So that should be the first step. Some ways to kind of limit the amount of times that will happen to you is a lot of the courses now have GPS marked courses that you can put into an app on your phone and actually be able to look at it on your phone. Even if your phone's offline, a lot of them now let you download the map beforehand and just use the GPS in your phone without service to actually be able to trace where you are. So that's one option. Other option is to get out and recon as much of the course as possible to limit that. Obviously if it's a course that's far away, that's possibly not going to be an option, so you won't be able to do that. But as I touched on already, getting lost isn't the end of the world. The following mistakes are. So, one, going on even though you think you might be wrong. I find it's always better to double check, because chances are you're probably right, and rather than going further and further and further, it's smarter just to go back whenever you get that feeling. So that's kind of first thing. Second thing is, yes, you've lost time, you've went the wrong way, you're probably a bit frustrated that you're going to drop positions in the race, but what you should not do is push hard to get back on track, because chances are that'll blow up your race even further. I've done it. My very first 100 miler, got lost very beginning with about 2 or 3 others, pushed the first 100k to try and get back within the touching distance of the other runners, and it having a very negative effect on my race. So I don't recommend that you do that. Remain calm. Tell yourself, especially if it's the like of a 200 mile race that we're training for at the minute, tell yourself it's going to be a long few days, and the few extra kilometers isn't going to make the difference. So remain calm, stick to your race plan, whether that's heart rate or whether that's pace, and check out my heart rate video on heart rate training, and also the video coming up on pacing and my thoughts on them. But so that's the two things that can go on, because once you start pushing to get back on track, it's going to mess with your whole body, the whole system, for in terms of getting your nutrition on, going through that whole plan. It's going to mess with your head, and that's probably the third thing. If you let it, that will break your that'll break your race, because I have seen it, I have felt it, I've been there before. I have thought, oh god, if I hadn't added on that 15k at the start for getting lost, I'd be finished now in the last 90k, or the last 15k of the 100 milers. So it can have, if you let it, a real negative effect on your mental state. And if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that mental strength is certainly the #1 key thing I think that most people need to have for finishing an ultra. There's a whole lot of fit, strong, good athletes out there that don't finish races. A lot of people that have more background in running, been doing it for longer years, that just don't finish the race. And it can come down to something as silly as mind games, you know, something going on in their head, and it really messing it up for them. So don't fall victim to the mental games. If you get lost, accept that you've got lost, make that your new starting point, get back on the right track, stick to your race plan. Yes, you've added a few k's on for being stupid, but so's life, such is life. But as I say, don't let it ruin your race, and more research, the more information you have at hand, hopefully will limit the amount of times that you get lost. So I hope this little video is some use for you people like myself that like getting lost. Am I confident I won't get lost in this year's Delirious West? No. But what I am confident is, if I do get lost, I'm going to do them 3 things to keep me on the right track. Remain calm, backtrack, get back on the right course, and not let it affect my head. Hopefully you can do the same, and hopefully your race goes well. Thanks for watching.